Front Stoop, what's popping with you, ladies and gentlemen? I'm with my man, Tony Crow. And we got some heavy stuff to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Before we even get started, let me just say, rest in peace and my condolences to all of the families who lost a child in today's or yesterday's, depending on when you're watching this video, shooting in Texas. It's crazy. You know what I mean? And if you haven't heard about it, we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about the crazy amount of mass shootings that's already taking place in 2022. But Tony Crow, man, what's popping with you?
What's good, Sam? Yeah, this is some heavy stuff we talking about.
It is.
But I think it got to be talked about. You know, I kind of wanted to talk about this back in March when there was a mass shooting, and here we are.
Here we are.
You know, a month later, 2 months later.
Yes,
and
it's crazy, man.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, I just dropped my mother off at the doctor. And boom, I see I'm on Twitter, and all of a sudden I see I'm like, well, yo, what's going on? Another shooting? Like, come on, it's crazy. You know what I mean? More news has come out since then. That was hours ago. But right now, this is the latest, updated at 10:28 p.m. on CNN. It says an 18-year-old man opened fire at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, killing at least 19 students and 2 adults. That's according to the officials. The shooting took place at Robb Elementary School. The alleged gunman, who officials have identified as Salvador Ramos, is dead. The school district's said the school district's police chief. Ramos is also believed to have shot his grandmother before going to the school. All right, that's believed right now. Oh, man, I mean, it's just, I'm not going to show pictures and all of that, because you're just going to see families grieving, and, I don't want to see that, really. It's just, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Because, wow, I mean, just a week and a half ago, you see what happened in Buffalo.
Yeah, Sim, I'm at work, and somebody comes up to me, hey, you heard about the mass shooting? I'm working. I'm like, yeah, I heard about it. I'm thinking he's talking about Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Keep working. Somebody, hey, you heard about the mass shooting? I'm like, yeah, it's like that was a week ago. No, today. I'm like, another one? Yeah. So it's crazy. And then the day of the Buffalo shooting, there were 2 other mass shootings the same day.
The same day. Since the Buffalo shooting, right? These are wild numbers right now. Since the Buffalo shooting, and that shooting happened on May 14th. Okay? On May 14th. Since then, there's been 15 shootings, 12 people killed, and 69 people injured. That's crazy. That's since May 15th. Nationwide, of course. All right. And it's been all over the nation. All over the nation, right? So on May 15th, you have Amarillo, Texas. Then you have Houston, Texas. Okay. And then you have Elizabeth, North Carolina. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Laguna Woods, California. Palo Alto, California. Philadelphia, Chicago. New Orleans, Highland, California, Kissimmee, Florida, Tacoma, Washington, Goshen, Indiana, North Charleston, South Carolina, and then you have Cleveland, and then, of course, Uvalde today. Those shootings, those 15 shootings, doesn't include today. So I'm saying those 15 shootings since Buffalo was leading up to today. And these are happening, Tony, daily, right? Buffalo was May 14th. The 2 in Texas, Buffalo was May 14th. And then on May 15th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 on May 17th, one on May 18th, one on May 19th, 3 on May 20th, 2 on May 21st, 3 on May 23rd. That's yesterday. Or 2 days ago, depending on when you're watching this video. And then 1 on May 24th, today or yesterday, depending on when you're watching the video. Right? Daily. These things are happening daily. People are dying through mass shootings daily. People are getting injured through mass shootings daily. It's hard for me to understand. It's crazy. It's hard for me to understand. And so far in 2022, there have been 213 mass shootings with 242 people killed and 911 people injured. Again, 213 mass shootings, 242 people killed, and 911 people injured so far in 2022.
It hasn't been 150 days in a year yet, and we've had 200 mass shootings.
It's nuts. You know what I mean? It's nuts. I don't know, like, what's happening? What is going on? What is leading to this right now? What are your thoughts on what's leading to it? You know,
I mean, the only I'm not a scientist, or you know what I mean, I haven't done any research. I would think some of this is the effects of the pandemic, the lack of social, just being able to be social and talk to people. I mean, we had that problem prior to the pandemic,
right?
With just everybody in their phone and people, you know, texting each other from the same room instead of actually talking to each other. But I think, you know, people having to stay home, people not being in contact with people in school where you really shouldn't be on your phone. So now you got to at least interact with people. I think maybe that's having an effect on some of the younger generation.
Yeah,
I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing things out there, but
right.
What, you know, what could it be?
I mean, you know, when you start talking about the pandemic, and like you said, you know, having to sit, you know, having to be at home, and then you know, all of these people that are dying due to the pandemic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People having losses, you know, people, you know, close to them or are being lost. You know, it takes a mental and emotional toll on a person, and you never know how a person is going to react to that mental and emotional toll. You know, it's hard to, like you said earlier, before we even jumped on, it's hard to give anyone an excuse, because if you're hurting, you know, there are people that you can go talk to, even if you don't have money. You know, there are people that you can go talk to. You know, I listen, I can understand if somebody gets mad and they go outside and take a bat to a car. Okay, you know what? It's not right, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? Or they get upset and they start throwing stuff around their house. But to go take 19 lives, it's something that I can't fathom.
And Sim, this is, I mean, we don't know why he did it, what motivated him, or whatever the case, but he went to elementary school.
Elementary school.
It's not even like, I'm assuming he was, you know, just graduated high school or was still in high school or something of this. So he didn't go to his school. You know, he didn't shoot his peers. That might have been teasing him or bullying him or whatever. He went and shot little kids.
Right.
And so it's cowardly, you know, because I don't think any of them kids had a chance to fight him off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or disarm them or anything like that. So it's really, it's disgusting.
Yeah. You know, the Public Enemy. Big shout out to you. Thank you for joining us, man. He said, with rent, gas, and food prices going up, there will continue to be shootings. Congress will continue to sit on their ass and do nothing. Listen, I agree with rent, gas, food, all that stuff going up. There's going to continue to be crime. I mean, there's always going to be crime, but there's going to continue to be this kind of crime, most likely, because people feel desperate. But I don't understand this though. If it has to do with that, and I know you're not saying that the reason why he did it had to do with that, but if it does have to do with that, why go to an elementary school? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that prove? I'm sure they're going to do some investigation to try to find out what his motivation was. They're going to try to, on his, they posted some guns that he posted on his Instagram a couple of days ago, which this always seems to happen. Every time there's a mass shooting, someone has a manifesto or, they've posted stuff all over their social media and nobody seems to care or be able to figure out, what's wrong with this person. Why are they posting these things? But I'm a big person of, let the time fit the crime, right? So if you're upset that rent prices are going up, food prices are going up, he's 18 years old. I don't even know if he has rent. Those things are going up. Yeah, I don't advocate shooting or killing anyone, but why do it at an elementary school? Why not go down to your state building and bug out? You know what I'm saying? If that's what you were going to do, and that's the motivation behind it. But what I do understand is that what you're saying is people feel desperate, and so when people feel desperate, they do anything. You know what I mean? Kaiser Souls, thank you for this, not super chat, but for being here. He said, what is Congress supposed to do about mentally ill people who would shoot their own grandparents? That's a good question. What can you do? I don't know. What can you do, Tony? You cannot tell if somebody is mentally ill, right? Or you don't know. People are out. There's millions of people out here. Sometimes in a city, there's millions of people. You know what I mean? How is Congress or anyone supposed to know that, hey, this guy's plotting to do something? You don't. You can't. How do you prevent it? It's hard to prevent it.
Yeah. And I'm watching one reporter, or I want to say he had to been someone involved in the investigation moving forward, and he was talking about looking and digging deep and seeing if there were signs of this or like automatically in my head I felt like he was saying looking for negligence from somewhere in the sense that maybe it could have been prevented.
Yeah.
And kind of looking for someone to blame. And what happened in March with the kid who shot up the school, and then they blamed the parents. The parents ended up doing time behind negligence in a sense. I don't even know if that's the route to go. We talking about Congress. How are they supposed to know? Sometimes parents don't even know their kid is bugging out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or maybe sometimes the parents are bugging out themselves and they're not even concerned with the kids.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard enough.
When do you blame the parents, and when do you have empathy for them?
Right. Yeah. It's me. It's hard for me to have empathy with anyone that goes into a school or a grocery store or any place and just starts unloading on people. Oh, for the parent.
How do you like? Because some people want to blame the parent immediately.
Right.
Like what were you doing? How do you not know your kid is doing this, that, and the third? And then sometimes the parents are liable or negligent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's a slippery slope.
In a lot of cases, I could tell you this. I've been a caseworker for a long time. Not now, I'm not, but I was a caseworker for a long time. And So many things that kids do, their parents have no idea that they're doing those things or exactly what they're into. You know what I'm saying? The one thing kids know how to do is be sneaky and hide. You know what I mean? Now, is it up to parents to, try to be involved as much as you can? And, obviously, I'm not saying these parents aren't involved, but, know what your child is doing as much as you can. Yeah, but at some point, you also got to give these children privacy. 16, 17 years old, they deserve some privacy. This kid is 18 years old. He's a man. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's difficult. I don't know how you control, individuals who, maybe have some mental health issues going on and feel in their mind that they need to go out and, shoot up someplace. But it's almost like now it's become trendy, right? It's become a thing to do, a popular thing to do for someone who is dealing with certain types of issues. It's crazy that, it's happening so much now that it's something that actually creeps in their mind. Well, you know what? I'm not getting what I don't like this. I'm not getting what I want. I'm not happy about this. I'm going to prove my point, or I'm going to send a message by going out and doing a mass shooting and killing up a bunch of people or injuring a bunch of people. It's become popular for those who live in this mental lifestyle or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, or who live within this type of culture. It's become a popular thing to do. Again, for those who are just joining us, thank you. The numbers are staggering. Staggering. 213 mass shootings in 2022 alone. 213. Right? And like Tony said, that's more than the number of days that we've had in the year already. Right? We've had 150 some odd days. 213 mass shootings. 242 people dead, 911 injured. And since the last major mass shooting, which just happened a week and a half ago in Buffalo, where there were 10 people killed and 3 people injured, since then, there's been 15 mass shootings leading up to today's mass shooting. 15 mass shootings, 12 killed and 69 injured. Those are staggering numbers. And what's crazy is just yesterday, my wife sends me a link to a young man that I used to do some work with, right? I used to go to his middle school, and I bring music equipment there, you know what I mean? And because it was mobile, and we, I would use a room and we'd do some music production, et cetera, et cetera. And she sent me a link where he tried to rob somebody, pointed the gun at him, said, "Give me your wallet." The guy gave him the wallet, then he hit the dude, and then he ran off. He got caught by the police, right? He's now apprehended. He tried to play like he was hurt or something like that, and they took him to the hospital, but he got at the hospital and started bugging out, going crazy, so they brought him back to the police station. Ended up being a fake gun that he used. But this guy, I know from experience, before this even happened with him, that he's had some mental health issues. I don't know exactly what, right? But I was trying to help him because I've known him since he was in middle school, and I'd see him around. He'd ask me for some money, whatever. And so one day I called him over. This was maybe 2 years ago. And I was like, "Look, what's going on? Talk to me." He talked to me a little bit about some things that was going on with him. Tried to help him out. I give him some money, gave him a toothbrush, deodorant, some things like that. And he comes to my house one day, looking for some more deodorant, some things. Knocks on the door. I tell my daughter, let him know I'll get to him later. I'm busy right now. Okay? My daughter is a little bit afraid of him because he acts funny sometimes, so she didn't tell him. So he comes around to my studio door, and I guess it was unlocked, and he walks in. And my daughter, she gets scared. She said, hey, Dad, such and such is walking in the house. So I go out there. I got to jack the dude up, throw him out the door. And I'm like, he's like, no, I was just making sure you was all right because nobody answered the door and da-da-da. I was like, yo, you don't just walk. I flipped out on him. You know what I'm saying? And then he starts, wilding out, saying some crazy stuff like, like a long time ago, like I said, when he was in middle school, we made some music, right? He's just somebody. He wasn't serious. He's like, yeah, and I want that verse that I did. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? He's like, and if I hear it on the radio, I'm coming back for you and I'm gonna sue you. And I'm like, yo, dude is bugging. And then what really let me know, I already knew that he had some things going on, but he was like, if I go talk to that cop when he pulls me over and he tells me that he heard my song on the radio, I'm a da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yo, what is he talking about? So I told him, like, yo, get off of my property. So he goes out to the sidewalk and he's like, yo, it's a public sidewalk. I can stand right here, though. So I start coming towards him like, look, man, you better go. So he starts walking down the street and he's hollering and yelling and, all kinds of wild stuff. But it's clear that he had some mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? And, sometimes, because I tried to give him some resources and places to go. I even made some phone calls. And people that I called said, we tried to get him in. We've talked to him. We know who he is. He's refusing our services. So even if someone has mental health issues and they're refusing services, there's not much you can do about it. Because it's not illegal to refuse service. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is when that person refuses service, those mental health issues eventually leads to him trying to rob somebody.
Or worse.
You know what I'm saying? Because if somehow, some way, he happened to have a real gun, and when he struck the person that he tried to rob, he may have shot him. My brother got shot in the head that way. You know what I'm saying? He got robbed. And the dudes was like, yo, what are we going to do with him? Blah, blah, blah. Hit him with the gun. Bang, the gun goes off. Shoots him in the head. Luckily, it just grazed him. And he's alive and well. But, what'd he do? Someone turns down. You try to help this person and they turn down the help that you're trying to give them. And now they're out there. It's crazy.
Yes, it is. And that's the sad part is that, like, we don't know no solution. We don't have an idea of where to start. Like I said, off the stream, even at this point, stricter gun laws and gun rules is gonna do nothing because the guns are out there already.
Yeah,
and it's about who has them more than about how,
right.
How many have them.
And I agree with those who are trying to get a gun license, checking their mental health history, and et cetera, et cetera. I agree with that. But here's the thing. People who are trying to do things illegally with guns, they're not trying to get guns legally. Mm-hmm. So how much do those checks really help? It helps with the people who are trying to, I agree with it. If you want a gun license, you should get, background check, et cetera, et cetera. But the people who commit crimes with guns, they're not trying to get those guns legally. You dig?
Yep. And sometimes it's just a clean criminal that is getting the guns to the wrong people anyway.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
He got no record, got a good background, got good references, but he's just giving the guns to the wrong people.
Yeah. The Public Enemy. Let me find out what that was. Oh, He said, uh,
Okay.
just a month ago, with the shooting on the NYC train, 10 people shot. My little niece goes to the school at the train stop. And the reason why I wanted to point that out is because kids are scared. And it's happening everywhere and anywhere. 4 or 5 years ago, it happened at a school just 30 minutes from me. Kids are scared and worry about it. Especially, I mean, these, elementary school, you can try to keep them away from the TV all you want. They're going to hear about it. Some of them, there's going to be some kids that are afraid to go to school tomorrow because they've heard about it. You know what I mean? School is supposed to be a safe place kids can go to learn. And now we're at a point where kids are afraid or going to be afraid to go to school because they're worried that someone might come in and shoot. I don't blame parents for saying, hey, I think I'm going to homeschool my child. At least if something happens, I'm here with them. You know what I mean? Or, it's sad. Sad state of affairs.
The day, I want to say the day after the Buffalo shooting, if not the day of, a close friend of mine's daughter, was on a school bus and one of the kids said something about shooting kids on a bus.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, and so my friend's daughter tells the kid, that's not nice. You shouldn't say that. And then he says, "Well, I'm gonna shoot you first."
See.
And yeah, she told me that, and I was just like in shock at first. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
bro,
like this is right here.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, what'd you do? You called the school, right? You got, you know what I mean? Because she ended up not going to school the next day, and they got the school board involved or whatever the case. But I mean,
that's what I was gonna say.
And the kid's parent, we don't have guns in the house, or we don't have guns. You know what I mean? Like, he don't have access to a gun. This is elementary. You know what I mean? So.
In a local high school just the other day, in where I live, there's like 5 high schools in a 5-mile radius. But at one of the high schools just the other day, a kid, I don't know if he got expelled or what, but brought a BB gun to school. I mean, I don't know. Knowing what's going, kids sometimes are oblivious to what's going on, but you got to understand that you're in high school. You've heard about these mass shootings, and you bring a BB gun to school. I mean, you're asking to get in some serious trouble. You know what I'm saying? But this is what's out there and what's happening. I don't know. Kids got to go to school and you got to go through drills on, what to do if there's a mass shooting. And I mean, you got to know about it. Parents have to start to teach their children, and parents might have to start drilling at home. What are we going to do if we go to the store and there's a shooting? What are we going to do? Stores may need to start posting signs up to say, this is what you should do if there's a mass shooting.
I'm sorry, Sim.
That's crazy.
You just made me think of when Dave Chappelle was talking about that same exact thing, the drills in school,
mm-hmm.
and how stupid it is, because they're literally telling the potential school shooter is in the drill. You know what I mean? Like, he's sitting through the drill, and so he knows exactly what the protocol is when he goes in there to do the thing.
Yeah.
So, but you also just said about the parents have to drill the kids, give them a drill off the drill. You know what I mean? Like, right. At home.
Right.
So teach your kid what to do where nobody else knows what the kid's gonna be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what? It's
like
crazy.
Playing chess.
Yeah, it's crazy. When Dave Chappelle, I think it was Dave Chappelle, when Dave Chappelle said that, I was like, yo, that's, yeah. I mean, you're training the shooter. You know what I mean? But you have no choice still. You got to do it. But yeah, you're probably training the shooter. That guy's sitting back there like, you think you're going to hide under that desk. I know exactly what desk you're going to. And you're the person I want. You know what I mean? Like,
It's sick. It's sick.
yeah.
It's
Kaiser Soul said parents can't even afford to homeschool their children because the cost of living is so high that both parents have to work. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, there's a lot of parents that can't afford to homeschool their children. But for those that can, you know,
and if you go right after him, Public Enemy,
yep. And we
we
have
got
billions of dollars.
$1 billion to
Yeah.
give to the Ukraine, but can't spend money to protect our own kids, helping the mental ill.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's that right there is when every time I heard about a bill that this many billions of dollars is going to Ukraine, I'm like, yo, I care about what's happening over there. But do you know what that billion dollars or however much it is could have done for our country? Come on, man. Why I don't want to sound cruel and say why do we care about what's happening in Ukraine? Because we should. But that doesn't mean that we've got to send all of our money there when we got people in crisis right at home.
so about 3 years ago, I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world when they was debating should teachers be allowed to carry guns. Obviously, they'd be licensed and everything else. But if they're licensed, they weren't allowed to be, licensed and at the school. And now they're debating that again. And I mean, I think I think if you're already licensed, I don't think you should give every teacher a gun. Absolutely not. That's dumb. But if you're already licensed, maybe go through a psych test. You know what I mean? Add some steps to it. But I mean,
See,
I'm starting to be on the other side of it now.
I'm still in disagreement with it. I just feel like when you're a teacher, you go through so many emotions with these kids. You know what I mean? I feel like you go through too many emotions with the kids. If you want to have something like that, you need to have someone who's neutral, I think. Or have I know there's some schools where I'm at that have
patrolled.
Yeah, that have a police officer in the school. You know what I'm saying? Who has an office in the school. And all the kids know who that officer is. And that officer has a relationship with the kids, et cetera, et cetera. But he or she is not dealing with the kids on the level that the teacher is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and you just go through so many emotions as a teacher. You don't know when one of these teachers just flip. I remember when I was in the 6th grade in Utica at Martin Luther King Elementary School. Right, we're in class. The class was so bad, my teacher broke down, started crying. Her name was Miss Darling. She broke down in the class. She started crying because nobody was listening to her, and she just left and walked out the classroom. Went to the principal's office. And the principal had to come down and stay in the classroom until a substitute came in. You know what I mean? So many emotions like that. I would just be scared that one of these teachers one day would feel powerless.
Again,
and pull that joint out like, pop, pop, pop. Y'all gotta listen to me today, goddammit.
Pay attention.
You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know.
I mean, again, I'm not saying give every teacher a gun because that's a couple years ago. That's what they were saying. Give the teachers guns. No, that's stupid. You know what I mean? I'm talking about if you're a teacher and you're already licensed, you know what I mean, and you already know how to use it. Now you go through other steps to be able to have your gun. Maybe it's not even in your classroom. You know what I mean? Maybe you have to, or it's in a lockbox in the classroom or something. So I'm looking at it because these things are becoming a norm. You know what I mean? They're not rare occurrences anymore.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure there's going to be other kids that are carrying guns because they're scared that somebody's gonna bring a gun to school.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like,
True.
how do you how do you tell that kid they're wrong?
Right. Yeah, I dig. You know, there's a couple things here in the chat that I really do want to point out because we have some good comments here. Gabriel Martinez said, "Can I give my opinion?" He said, "We can't change what happened because it already happened. Or what can we do to educate our community so these things stop happening?" I think the first thing to do is to make sure the community is safe. Right. I think that's number one, you know, because I think some people are going to feel like in crisis mode. Right. Figure out how do we make sure that the community is safe the best way that we can. You know what I mean? I would hate to have to go into a store and see signs on the wall to say this is what you do in the event of a mass shooting. But, you know, somehow, some way start to educate, you know, just get more education out there to tell people to say if something like this happens and you're at your store, this is the best thing for you to do. If you see someone suspicious, you know, go talk to this person, that person, or the third. I think also watching out, you know what I mean? Like this kid, Salvador Ramos, he posted some stuff on social media. When you see that stuff, and this leads to another question that Gabriel asked. He said, if a friend or a relative of yours opened up about committing a mass shooting, what would you do to intervene? Or would you walk away and not get involved? I would definitely get involved. I know I would. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yo, you know, because now I would feel like, yo, they did this joint. That means there's something wrong. And the next thing might be the house. You know what I mean?
I think he meant like prior to, like he opened up about like thinking about it.
I mean, I would definitely if someone opened up about thinking about, you know, that they were thinking about it. The problem is I don't think these people open up. Just like if someone's going to commit suicide, normally, if someone's going to commit suicide, they don't tell you they're going to commit suicide. They just do it.
Leave a note. They leave a note if they're going to, you know what I mean?
Right. They leave a note to say, this is why I did it, but they just do it. Right. When someone does speak up about it, a lot of times they're asking for help. When they say, hey, I'm thinking about committing suicide, it doesn't mean they're not thinking about it, but they're speaking up because they need you to help them. Right. So I don't know if someone's going to open up to you about having the thoughts of committing a mass shooting. But if they did, I would definitely get involved and say, well, we need to go get you some help. We need to figure out why you're having these thoughts and what can we do to help prevent it. You know what I mean? Kaiser Souls, he said they spend hundreds and billions of dollars on prisons before they put up more schools and pay teachers a decent salary. You know what? One of the clients that I work for is called the Maryland Head Start Association. Preschool. All right. Work with pregnant women up to the age of 5 for children. And the teachers that work for Head Start, they don't get paid enough. And what happens with them is they end up going to the public school or whatever because they get paid more. But then what happens in the public school, they end up leaving and going and working in a totally different field, right? Because they don't get paid enough. I mean, there are places where you can work at McDonald's and make $15 to $20 an hour in some places, and teachers are getting paid less. You know, so I agree 100%. You know what I mean? Now, one of the reasons, and this goes into a much deeper conversation, one of the reasons why those billions of dollars go into prisons is because the people in prison, those Black and Hispanic men in prison, are working like slaves for corporations, right? So now these corporations are making money.
Private prisons.
Private, right. But even in some cases, your publicly owned prisons, you know. That's a whole nother conversation that we can get into. You know, it's a big, deep conversation, but that's one of the reasons why these money continues to go into prisons to construct more prisons so the money can continue to flow back into these corporations. You dig what I'm saying there? You know what I mean? You dig what I'm saying there? The Public Enemy said the Buffalo shooter told people he wanted to shoot people before he graduated, but never really had no medical help afterwards. Still was able to buy a gun and commit a mass shooting. And you know, this is where, when things like that happen, people got to say something.
Accountable.
You got to say something, you know? And it's hard because sometimes you don't know if a person is just talking out the side of the mouth, but, you know, people have to understand, you know, don't say shit like that. And if someone does say shit like that, maybe it's time to say, yo, we need to tell somebody. And also, when you see stuff on social media, when you see people, you know, posting stuff that you say, that's not right, you know, maybe you need to, not you, including myself, you know, got to report it, got to say something, got to make it be known. It's tough. It's tough. As a community, we've got to figure out how to do it, though. You know what I mean? Because we're all in danger. When you talk about someone just running into a store and spraying, we're all in danger. You know what I'm saying? No, man.
Yeah, take the signs serious if you see them.
Yeah.
And it's good. You know how many times I was just thinking. You know how many times I've heard somebody like be like, "Oh, I will shoot this whole place up." You know what I mean? Like I've heard that so many times and never really even took that serious. Like
Right.
most of the time, or assessed it. You know what I mean? And kind of seen.
Right.
But nowadays, you know what I mean? Now you gotta really take that serious.
You got
know what I mean?
to.
The
Yeah.
blind threat.
And I think people that don't really mean those things when they say it, I think they will kind of take heed to it. I hope. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people be bugging out. She's like, yo, I'll shoot every motherfucker in here. You know what I'm saying? And you don't really, you like, all right, what, you know, but one of my best friends, I don't mean to cut you off. One of my best friends, his moms used to bug out. Like, she get mad every single night. She would drink every single night. She would get mad every single night because everybody was at her house. And every night she'd go run to her bedroom and get the shotgun and run out. And everybody run out in the street like, Miss Henrietta, chill out, calm down. Like, you bugging, chill out. You know what I'm saying? That just, that just remind me of that.
But that's what I mean. Like, we've been in these situations, you know what I mean, plenty of times in our lives where, if it happened today in this climate, it's different. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
It's a different climate. Yeah, it's a different climate. You know what I mean? And you have to. You definitely got to take heed to that. And you know what's crazy? Gabriel Martinez, just said a few things, and we're glad you're sharing that. This is a safe space for you to be able to share, and it may help some other people. He said, I was born in a wealthy family with a father and a mother at home. In my school days, I got bullied deeply at school. I never told my parents because they never really gave a damn. They only think about dollars. And, this goes to show you that, with these mass shootings, I don't know if there's a profile, right? I don't know if there's really a profile for it. You can think there's a profile for it, but this young man is Hispanic, right? Most of the time, it's white men doing these shootings, but it's becoming more and more prevalent that it could be anybody. I don't know if there's a profile anymore. Right now, the profile, I guess there is, right? It is normally a white male, 18 to 35, somewhere around there, maybe stays to himself, kind of secluded from everybody else, maybe dealt with a lot of issues in school, or maybe has some mental health issues. That's the profile. I think that profile is growing. You know what I mean? And it's going to be, the kind of thing where maybe there's not even a profile.
I mean, I think circumstances are the most important thing. Forget the profile. Look at the circumstances, the surrounding things he's going through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The personal thing. I think that's more important than like the race, the age. Because when people are going through it, that's when they're liable to snap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
he's Hispanic in Houston. That was Houston, or Texas. I mean, I'm sure he's gone through his share of profiling and immigration threats and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
and the Public Enemy said, "I'm happy for you, Gabriel, to find a better way to get out of a dark place." And yes, Gabriel, same here. Happy for you too, man, because dealing with mental health is not easy, and I think too, and I think it is happening. But maybe one of the solutions that the community wide that we can focus on is erasing the stigma of mental health, right? So that people aren't afraid to talk, and providing those open spaces so that people can talk. And I think that could be part of it. It's not the entire solution, but at least part of it. If you can erase that stigma and make people feel like, you know what, just like if I have a broken arm, I go to the doctor, I find a way to get help. If I'm dealing with some mental health issues, I'm dealing with my health and I find a way to get help, because I think that it's still out there that, someone is dealing with mental health issues like, yo, this guy's crazy, stay away from him. You know what I'm saying? Or, especially in school, when you're dealing with teenagers, they know in teenagers, they look and they're in school and they see everybody and they're like, oh, those are the outcasts. Stay away from them. You know what I'm saying? Or, that guy, he's crazy. He might shoot up a school one day. I ain't messing with that dude, right? And those people know that other people feel that way about them. And so they become even more outcasted. So find ways to break down those walls and stigmas on mental health so that people feel comfortable enough to share, or even if they don't want to share publicly or within a group, they feel comfortable enough to go speak with somebody, to get the help that they might need. I think that's part of the solution too. Because that's a difficult thing to grasp. Difficult thing to grasp. I don't know, Tony. It's tough, man. It's tough. Yeah. It's tough.
Shout out to the chat too, man.
Yeah.
I'm reading all the comments and y'all on it.
Yeah, on it. And I like that. So many people, Gabriel, Kaiser Souls, the Public Enemies having some really good input, because it's these type of forums that people need to be able to have a discussion. It's tough. Yeah. People need people to talk to, man. I'm doing with Head Start program, I'm doing a dad's retreat. And I know this is outside of what we're talking about right now, but just speaking about forums and places for people to talk, we're doing a dad's retreat. Because, when you deal with Head Start, most of the time, it's the moms who are, there's a lot of single moms, not a lot of dads there. Mm-hmm. And for the dads who are there, what happens, there's so many single moms.
Left out.
Yeah, they kind of get left out. There's so many single moms that the staff becomes trained to kind of focus on doing everything with the mom. Let me see what mom's got to say. Let me talk to mom. When we come up with this goal sheet, let's do it with mom. Yeah.
I've been there as a not even a single parent at the time, but my daughter's mother at the time worked for Head Start as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what you're talking about just from coming in as the parent. You know what I mean? While she's working and seeing. First off, I mean, I don't know how it is where you are, but I was maybe one of six as far as males,
Okay. Right.
involved in you know what I mean activities or just picking up the child. So we were far and few in between.
Yeah.
So I get exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we're doing a dad's retreat
That's
so that
dope.
we can get all the dads together. Not all of them's gonna come, but as many as we can, get them together. It's gonna be like a day and a half type of retreat, but we're gonna
Mm,
do events leading up to the retreat, right? So it's not just like, hey, well, once a year we got this big retreat. We're gonna have different events and workshops and things, but it's all gonna be geared around having an open forum for dads to speak about some of the pressures that they deal with, especially black fathers, right? Some of the pressures that they deal with, um, and some of them are single dads too. There's a couple single dads there. So, what a single dad deals with, uh, for some, they're coming home from prison, right? How are they feeling coming back into the family? You know what I'm saying? And what kind of pressure are they dealing with? So all of these things, is what the dad's retreat is going to be about. So I hopefully that's going to be something that's strong and powerful. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
that's dope, man. That's dope. Hopefully, hopefully the single fathers uh get babysitters too, because I know that you know what I mean, that
Right.
you know what I mean. Or hopefully it's during you know Head Start school hours or something.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was fortunate because I was a single dad for a little while, right? Till my son was about 6. I was fortunate though because I had my mother, I had my grandmother, and I had an aunt that, what I mean, like my aunt would take my son and I might not see him for 3 days. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, Aunt Nate, what's up? I'm trying to get my son. She's like, oh, we're trying to go here. I'm like, come on, man. So I
come
was
back,
fortunate.
come
I was
back with
fortunate.
all these new outfits
Yeah,
and stuff.
I was fortunate, but I do understand that everybody's not that fortunate. You know, everybody's not that fortunate. But again, all of that, is we were talking about just having that open forum for people to be able to talk, uh, and not be afraid or erasing that stigma of mental health. It's tough, you know.
Yeah. I think we've come a long way though. At least you know I have myself personally, and even you know a lot of people in my circle, where you know if they haven't gone to therapy, they're open to it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you know the stigma's been removed. We kind of understand black trauma at the very least. You know what I mean? And so I think we're leaning towards it. At least the older generation. I don't know how the kids, if that stigma is there with the kids in today's society.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean,
but
I think some of it is still there, but I do believe that they're more aware. You know, I think they're more aware, but it's still there. Stigma.
yeah,
Yeah, and I just put in the chat. I put a link to the Gun Violence Archive, and this is where you can get that information on the number of mass shootings that's taken place in 2022. And I've used this website for some different things in the past, and it's pretty accurate. You know what I mean? And it'll tell you the date, the state, the city, and it'll tell you the street that it happened on, the number of people killed, the number of people injured, and then you can actually see, the sources, to tell you that these things took place. So it's a good website if it's something that you like to follow. just so that you can be aware of what's going on. You know what I mean? Is good
And
time for
one
you to
thing
check.
I don't think you said it while we were live. I think it was before we went live, but we talk about 213. I think I heard about 20, maybe
Right,
maybe 30.
right.
You know what I mean? So that's 83 that just went under the radar, at least for me personally. You know what I mean? Um, but back in March, I remember it was like it wasn't even 90 days into the year, and it was like 103 shootings.
Yeah.
So
And you know, it's happening all over the country. All over the country. You know, there's states that have a little bit more than others, of course, but it's happening all over the country, man. California and Illinois have a lot. So, Texas has a lot. So I'm looking at Texas right now because, you know, one of the arguments that you said someone in your family made and Big Bubba made is that it's the states that have lenient gun laws that don't have shootings. Well, Texas, they have lenient gun laws. And I'm looking right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let me get to the next page. 21 in Texas this year.
so that's almost 20%.
Yeah, right.
That's like
That's
that's like 18%.
or maybe 10%. 10% because there's 213 about
Oh,
10%.
okay, yeah, yeah, yep, 10%. Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep. I was thinking 113 for some reason, but yeah, 10%.
Yeah, D Public Enemy said, "Man, I've been through the hard times in life. I've never turned to drugs or alcohol. I never wanted to commit suicide. Most definitely not harm a child. Hey, you know what? That's good, man. You know, keep it up. You know, continue to have those outlets, the outlets that you need, because everyone's gonna go through it. Some tough times, man. I was just talking to my man, a buddy of mine. I was just at the gym, and you know, he was like, "Yo," he told me he was like, "Yo, man, I'm going through a divorce." You know, so we had a conversation just about that. You know, and I told him, man, one time, and this was like maybe 2 years ago. Told him I was like, basketball is like my savior. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my thing. That's what I do. You know what I mean? That's always been like my savior. You know, and I don't mean savior as far as religiously, just like, you know, what I leaned on. And
From the beginning too,
yeah,
since the radio days.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like one night we was going just family stuff going on. You know, here at the house, man. And it's like, yo, I got to get out the house. I left out about 11:30, 10:30. Got a key to the gym. Got to the gym about 11, and I stayed there till 3:30 in the morning, bro. Just shooting, just shooting, just shooting, just shooting, just shooting, just shooting. That's my outlet. You know what I'm saying? And then I leave the gym. I left feeling good. You know, feeling better. You know what I mean? Everybody got to have that outlet. You know, whatever it is. You know, a healthy outlet. You know what I mean? To let that stress out when you need to. And sometimes people got to be trained to, you know, what kind of outlets are healthy to be able to let it out and you know, get whatever it is off your mind, and then, you know, come back to it when you unclogged your
And
brain a little bit.
that's the most important part, though. Find your outlet, but make sure it's the right outlet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like who was it? The Public Enemy didn't turn to drugs or alcohol. I remember when alcohol was my go-to,
Mm.
and you know, shout out to you, Sim, because you was the one that broke me out of that habit of having when I had a bad day or something heavy was on my mind, and me going to that bottle or going to that beer. Um, and when you explained it to me, you know, it made so much sense that I, you
Yeah.
know I will not have a drink if I'm having a bad day or a bad time. You know what I mean? And I'm selective if I drink during a celebration, just to
Yeah,
not make it a habit that I gotta drink to celebrate. So,
yeah, I appreciate
um,
that.
no, for real, for
Yeah,
real. And MBK has been my my therapy and the vlog. So you know what I mean? A healthy,
yeah,
healthy way.
that's what it is, man. Everybody got to have a healthy something to go to, man. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your time, and all of your input in this, and hopefully, as a community, we could find a way to. I don't know. This is going to be around for a while, though. We know that it's going to be around for a while. Uh, do what you can to educate yourself, protect yourself. Keep your eyes peeled. You know what I mean? I grew to be good at keeping my eyes peeled. Just where places that I've grown up in. So, I've learned how to keep my eyes peeled. But if you haven't learned how to keep your eyes peeled, learn how to keep your eyes peeled for people that might look a little bit strange. Figure out how to protect you and your family, man. Tony, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Definitely prayers out to the families and the victims and the victims, families, everybody affected by this tragedy. And all these 213 tragedies this year. You know what I mean? Um, and then I just hope it gets better.
Yeah,
Like I'm skeptical. I'm a skeptic already. Just naturally coming from where I come from and what I've seen. So it doesn't feel like it's gonna get better. But I'm hopeful. I hope it does.
yeah.
I can't say hopeful, but I hope it does.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Condolences to everybody that's lost their life in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. Appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.